I call the meeting to order. Commissioner Feldheim is here. Please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda. Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This time we'll open the meeting up for any public comment. Does anyone wish to address the commission this morning?
I do.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to provide some information on an item on today's agenda, the plat and variance for the Howland Woods subdivision.
Can you state your name for the
Oh,
record?
I'm sorry,
please?
Janet Hedges,
Thank you.
owner of H&H Farms. Our property, H&H Farms, is located directly west of the proposed subdivision on the other side of 385th Avenue. We have submitted a letter to the Brown County Planning and Zoning Commission for last week's meeting because we were unable to attend due to a family matter that required us to be out of state on June 18th. We were informed that during that meeting, Mr. Whale, petitioner and owner of Hollywood subdivision, made a comment that he had talked to Joe Hedges about the project. Joe did not speak for the majority owners of H&H Farms. Commissioners, I believe you have a copy of that letter that was provided to you by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that correct? Okay. All right, we are not opposed to development in this area. In fact, we had applied for a rezone of our property from ag to mini ag with the intention of building a barn to be used for a small event center. Concerns were raised by residents and businesses located directly across from our proposed project. Opposition was made by Troy and Rebecca Whale, residents of Drew Court, and their business, Whale Construction, also located in Drew Court. Troy and Rebecca Whale are the owners of this subdivision being proposed. Ron and Deb Drew, developer of Drew Court, and area landowner, and their family members who also reside in Drew Court. And Tom and Jody Lighthold, residents of Drew Court, and their business, Lighthold Electric, also located in Drew Court. Each of these residents and businesses are located directly across from the property that we had applied for rezoning to have a business. As you may recall, Commissioner Sutton and Commissioner Feldheim, the Commission has set some prior precedents which should also be applied to the Howland Woods project. The precedent has been set by the Commission, which resulted in the denial of our project, and these were the concerns that set that precedent. Increased traffic and dust and noise. The addition of an approach on 385th Avenue. Aspire was concerned about the safety of clients and clients being drawn to activity and traffic in the area. Loss of wildlife in the area. And concerns about commercial businesses being across the road from Drew Court, a housing development. Well, those same concerns are present today regarding the proposed Howland Woods subdivision project. Adding 16 homes will significantly increase traffic, dust, and noise. As a result of approximately 2.5 cars per average household times 16 homes is about 40 vehicles, plus a number of business vehicles, because Howland Woods covenant permits the operation of a business on each of these lots for a potential total of 50 or more additional vehicles daily on 385th Avenue. An approach currently used seasonally for farm equipment is proposed to be moved and used daily to access 385th Avenue from the proposed subdivision. Our proposed approach was approximately a block and 1.5 from Howland Woods approach location. Our project was adjacent to a paved road, but the only access to Howland Woods subdivision is by gravel road and this approach on 385th Avenue. Increased concerns with Aspire client safety. Not only will there be increased daily traffic, the Howland Woods covenant permits swimming pools, hot tubs, decks, trampolines, and other playground equipment, creating more activities and noise that may attract Aspire clients. Wildlife will be displaced from what is currently land used for agricultural purposes. The Howland Woods covenant permits the operation of a business and outbuildings on each of the 16 lots, meaning there will be more commercial businesses across the road. Having previously denied a project for these same concerns, the commission would be upsetting precedent by allowing this plat approval to move forward. Additional concerns about this project. There are livestock on our property, which is our livelihood. We ask that you drive down 385th Avenue to hear the 4th of July fireworks display and the sound of a revving race car engine that already occur at Drew Court, which have caused issues with our livestock. It is foreseeable that additional activities in the area will only increase this concern. There will be increased use of 385th Avenue, which is a township road. It is unclear whether that road will be properly maintained with this amount of increased traffic. We hunt regularly on our property. The Hedges family has owned this property for over 80 years. We do not want our hunting rights or other property rights to be infringed upon. As the Summit Carbide Pipeline project is currently routed, it will go through our property. This creates a potentially lethal situation for a housing development should the pipeline rupture in the area. Being a good neighbor, we did contact Drew Court residents and Aspire to inform them about the possibility of a carbon pipeline in their backyard. Interestingly, they did not express any level of concern about this potentially lethal pipeline compared to the many concerns they had over our proposed business project. A precedent for development in this area has been set by this commission and should be equally applied to the Howling Woods subdivision project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the commission this morning? Carl?
On a different subject, is that all right?
You bet.
Well, every now and then, I think it's important to give people a chance to know what's went on and all that, but I just got back from the International Legislative Forum that's up it was in Duluth this year, last year it was in Winnipeg, and next year Liz Larson, Senator from down in Sioux Falls, and myself will be chairing the event for South Dakota, and we'll be going out in the Rapid City area with that, but it'll be in South Dakota next year. But it grew from the problems with international flood mitigation back with the Red River in 1997, and it's went through a lot of different things through the years, but we had things that we talked about were water, roads, marijuana, pipelines, healthcare, mental health, broadband, telehealth, prisons, school funding, public safety, homeless, drug issues, guns, abortions, and I said drug issues again, we must talk about a couple times. But the purpose there was we had people from North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and a couple provinces up in Canada that talked about these different areas, and we find out that there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that we need to work on together. And I just thought that you might be interested. From this area, Mike Roll also went, and over in Watertown, Byron Calise and David Wheeler from down in Huron, and then Liz Larson and myself. So that's just a brief summary of some of the things we did. With the big discussions were healthcare and also on energy. So that's
very good.
Keeping you guys informed.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Anyone else wish to address the commission?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on what Carl just said there. Carl, I'd also encourage anything we can do between North Dakota and South Dakota, because we have a situation there where we have very little impact or ability to, restrict what happens to us on the state line up there. And that's a real-time, everyday kind of problem up there. So I get it, we got trouble with drainage all over the place, but that's one spot if we could eventually facilitate some kind of understanding, because right now we're just sort of at the bottom of the stream.
Well, we have a couple contacts now up in North Dakota that we can visit with, and a couple of them are their senators that have been around for a while. So if you can jot me a note just saying what our issue is, it's kind of like you did with the city and the county. If they don't know what our issue is, and if it's not in writing, things don't get done. So maybe send me something and I'll try to pursue it through that avenue.
Sure.
I can't guarantee anything will happen, but I can guarantee at least we'll get it moving.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Online, on the phone? Hearing none, we will move on. Next up, John Kipley, Ordway Township, to discuss the Hall Crossing. Mr. Kipley.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thanks for letting me come in and visit with you guys. The Hall Crossing, you're aware there's always been a problem, and it still is. But in the past, the Commissioners always got together and figured out a way to get it patched enough so the farmers can get across, and that's all we're asking for, is a way to cross the river. You know, we gave up 3 different spots in Ordway Township already that the bridges were taken out, all inside of 2 miles of this one, you know. And so this one is an important one that we need to keep, you know. And from what I understand, when the county put those culverts in, they tore out a bridge. And the county committed that they will keep those culverts working. And you have in the past, but we'd sure like you to keep doing it in the future. And so, I know a few years ago, they got some FEMA money to fix it, and they didn't get it done right away, and FEMA was ready to make you pay it back. You guys probably didn't know it, if any of you were on that long ago that can remember that. I don't know if we got any FEMA money this last time. I know it was turned into FEMA, but it seems like after FEMA came out and looked at it, things got dropped, so I don't know where it's going or what's happened with it since. And so, but you gotta remember, this is something that Commissioners promised our township a long time ago, that they would keep these culverts moving, you know. And I know that, I guess you can change it, because you're the bosses here, but, yes, it affects me, but it affects a lot of other people too, and, be surprised how much you get used when it's covered up so we can cross it. The big thing is, if we can stay off of Highway 14 with our tractors and combines, you know, that is a big issue, to try to get around it, and we have to use 14 to do it. It's no fun trying to take a combine or a tractor down, because you're parked more than you're driving. Because the combines and the tractors are so wide that they take up more than 1 lane. So you gotta park it basically in the ditch, and let the vehicles that are meeting pass, and the people that are behind you get around you. And so, this is an issue that is in our township, and would sure like you to consider some way of patching it together again like you did last time. Because the cement that you hauled in last time is still there. Might have been moved a little bit, but not too bad. But it needs some more cement or some more rocks, you know, so we can pack dirt across it, or gravel across it, so that we can cross it. I'm open for any questions or anything like that the commission has on this issue.
Well, in the years that I've been a commissioner, I know that has been an issue several times, and I think the word you used was patched, and I think we've done a lot of patching over the years, and we've put a lot of Band-Aids on a gaping wound, and we're just about out of Band-Aids. I mean, it's still a problem. I think it'll always be a problem. It's kind of the Bermuda Triangle of Brown County when it comes to issues, because it will always be a problem, you know, without an actual bridge high enough to withstand any flow. Culverts probably are not sufficient in that area, and we've been told, or I've been told, that the usage of that crossing has declined over the years, just due to, you know, farming practices and so on. And I understand that it is an inconvenience to go around, but at the end of the day, it's not too many miles or too far out of the way. And I don't know the number, but Dirk would maybe be able to provide how much we've spent of taxpayer dollars trying to maintain that access in that area over the years for quite a minimal number of you know, usage of by the farm community.
When I moved out there, that was solid cement all the way across, so the water could run across it, you know. And of course, eventually the cement got cracked, and it got tore out. And they designed several different things, you know. The one time was those blocks of cement, you know. The biggest problem they did there was put plastic down first, Because then when the water got under the plastic, it just forced those rocks right in the air 20 feet, you know. If they wouldn't have had the plastic down, the water would have ran across it, and most likely the blocks would have stayed, and all we'd have had to do is just fill up some gravel in over the top of it again. But, we know that ain't the full answer if, because, I guess maybe the blocks could get washed out. But solid cement is definitely the answer, but, to have a cement drive over, you know, but that's what we had back in 1975 when I moved out there, you know. But I don't know, I know that would cost money, and I don't know, nobody wants to spend any money on any roads that nobody's using, but you get used a lot more than what you think. And I guess the only way we would know is fix it and put the meter on the road and see what we do. See how many times it gets crossed, you know. And so, it's not just an inconvenience for me, but there's other people in the community that it's an inconvenience for, you know. I can name several of the bigger farmer people that cross it all the time with their combines and tractors when it's passable.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'll ask a question, probably more for Dirk. What would it cost approximately to put it back in the way it was before it got washed out?
So I gotta clarify something, we can't just throw it in so tractors can get across it. It's either gotta be open, and we're taking responsibility
Right.
for it
Yep.
as an open roadway, or not. So, but probably 25,000 probably.
Okay.
We have one other hiccup right now, we can't move anything that's in the river because it's protected right now. So we can fill it after we get a permit, but we can't touch anything that's sitting where it is now, all we can do is fill over it until it gets cleared of the Topeka Shiner. So, we can work on it, I'll have to get a permit, and so on and so forth, but, you know, I got about, unless the budget gets cut again, I got about $80,000 we're gonna put into Road 11. Since this is so much more important than that road out there, we can just let 11 go back and take that money and put it into the crossing. I mean, there's an opportunity. But we can't just keep taking money and taking money and taking money, and I'm trying to contract, we're contracting what we have to pay for because we can't afford to pay for it. So, but as I told John, and I understand, I mean, if we just cut everybody that uses it $2,000 check from the county, and that would be cheaper than screwing around with it and quicker, you know.
Mr. Weiss?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
That isn't the answer of solve the problem, you know, to give everybody $2,000 that uses it, you know.
Well, it's cheaper.
It's another safety issue that's out there, you know.
Well, trying to throw in a half-ass crossing that you can only take a tractor across is a bit of a safety issue too, you know.
Well.
Are you trying to ask a question?
Well, I just wanted to say, my name's Tara Hall, and I've lived there for over 25 years now, so I am a pretty good meter of how many people use that area when it's open, and, you know, it usually gets closed out in the winter right away. It doesn't get opened up until, you know, later. Then it gets closed in the winter. Really, there isn't much traffic on it. And we have a field right across the river, and we don't mind driving around. It's only a couple miles. It's not that far. It's not gonna cause much disruption compared to having put all this money in there every year, knowing full well it's just gonna be washed down the river for a few people. And Mr. Kipley, I don't know if you wanna name some of the people that use it, but, I mean, we don't know of anybody complaining about it except for you.
Well, no, I get the phone calls, okay, because it's Ordway Township. They think it's my problem as a commissioner, in Ordway Township. That's why I get the phone calls. But that's, I guess, we would like to keep the promise that was made to Ordway Township a long time ago. And of course, we all know where the problem comes in. City of Aberdeen don't hold the water they need up north. You know, if they held the water they needed, it would be controlled, wouldn't have a problem with it. But, City of Aberdeen rather get water from the river than trying to control all the water that comes down that river and goes over to the James River and floods everybody else out over there too. know we don't have enough power to get the city to handle that properly, or get the federal government to help them solve that problem.
Other thoughts, questions? Dirk, anything else you'd like to add?
No, no.
It is a problem area without doubt.
Yep. And it's a little bit like some other conversations. I mean, I don't know where, at some point, we either gotta let stuff go to hell, or we gotta limit what we're gonna take care of. And this is just a timing thing here, John. I'm not, you know, trust me, I wanna keep you and Paul, at least so you don't hate me, but, at some point.
Too late.
But there's all kinds of things. We have the exact same situation up on the Maple with behind Sumptions up there, and we went through the exact same process, and now they have to go out on 281 and come down with their tractors too. I guess it's a byproduct of what we do here, but I don't have any answers. And maybe the commissioners are, I'm gonna do my budget talk later, and I welcome you all to come and sit in on that, because that'll be a bunch of fun too. But maybe we'll come up with something better than what I'm expecting, but I'm trying to capture every 25 here, 25 there, and pretty soon we'll have 100, and we'll be able to chip seal a few miles. I don't know, that's all I'm trying to do.
Mr. Myers, do you have anything to add as resident of that area?
Here a few years ago, I've been 20, and this, every time the FEMA guys come out, me or John would go out there and show them around all the problems. Of course, that's a county problem, because a certain size things are handled by the county. We're not qualified to do that. But at that time, it would cost more money, but one local contractors in town talked to them and said, well, you're just fiddling around here, you're just fixing day after day, year after year. Do what you need to do. This is before the brick situation got put down. Just make a dam out of it. A foot of concrete right across it, slope it down both sides. When the river's high, you'll run over. When the river's down, drive over it. But maybe it costs more money. We laid concrete this spring, and it was high priced. But do it so we forget it, and no more maintenance. This maintaining with $200,000 dump trucks and $30 an hour employees is high priced.
Yep.
No matter who it is. Anybody in this room has got the same problem. Everybody.
But you do this is a real good example, unfortunately, of how we have to approach things, and I touched on it last week, and we can't get the 1 million or the 2 million that we can dedicate to a location like that all at once.
It wouldn't be that much.
Well, there's gonna be, I'll get you some pictures. I
Do that,
went and looked
do
at
that.
a couple in Montana on the Little Yellowstone that are like that. But at any rate, what I'm saying is it's a hell of a lot easier for the county to come up with 15 or 20,000 10 years in a row than it is to come up with $1 million once. But I know.
As far as this wildlife mitigation situation, the culverts are open, the fish or whatever, beavers, whatever, can go north, south, east, and west under there 24 hours a day, every day of the year. We wouldn't be hurting anything or damaging anybody. Anyway, of course, it's good that people are out watching out for them, but still,
That's
it's
a debate for another time.
Yeah,
But
it's a debate for something that has nothing else to do.
So if we're in a wetland, we can't throw stuff in a wetland, right?
Right.
But in this situation, we can actually fill over what's there, but we can't move anything that's there because it will disturb in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a chart, and you read the chart and you try to follow it so they don't find you.
But
Yeah.
when the next flow comes, it'll wash down into the channel, and we've got, what, 3 or 4 times
Yep,
all the fill that's in the middle of that channel down below it?
yep,
The channel is almost to the point where we need a drag lane to drag it out.
Yep.
It's been washed out
So we can't get
every
permission.
5 years, 10
Like a
years.
sandbar almost
Yeah.
out there.
to the south it is, yeah.
Yep. It's just like, it's just,
Dwayne, Doug?
I think the bigger issue with the Hall Crossing, it was very viable years ago, because the bridge had load limits.
Yep.
Once the load limits came off that bridge, and that bridge was replaced a mile north, that changed that whole outlook of that whole situation, because when that bridge had load limits, nobody could come out the west side, everybody had to go back east. When that bridge got fixed, that changed that whole situation down there, and I'll be honest, the Hall Crossing got less use and was less important at that point in time. So that's kind of where we ended up too, where that
Well,
bridge was those load limits over
Yep.
those years.
We limit a lot of trucks on it.
Yep.
Yep. The farm equipment side hasn't changed any. I mean, the people still wanna use it if they can. Cause you know, we got people from farming from Ipswich, and they come those 4 or 5 units all at one time, and they would definitely cross it if it's open, you know. We got people from Frederick that farm there, and to go, less than a block, they gotta drive 4 miles, you know. I mean, so, it's inconvenient, yes, but the thing that bothers me the most is we were promised by the commission years ago that they would keep it going, and that's what we're requesting, yeah.
Mike?
Do you know when that was, like ballpark, when that was that happened?
Yep, before 75, I don't know when they took the bridge out.
Remember a long time ago, that was the county road that cut through by our place and crossed that area. So that's why back then they had a bridge and all of that. It made more sense. But there's other roads now, so it's a whole different era. So that commitment was back then.
That
There's
wasn't
not-
maintained, that was on the county system years ago?
That's how
That
you
was-
got across the river.
That was the main road to get into Aberdeen. And then it was changed and built, you know.
11 was where it's at now.
State's promised us a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, so it made sense back then to, you know, maintain it, keep it open for everybody, but now we have other options, just a mile, that's a short distance.
I think 100 years ago, they dug a ditch from Hecla down to the Jim River Inlet
Yeah.
to prevent flooding, and that went by the wayside a lot of years ago, so a lot of things have come and gone in the last 100 years, and that's one of the things that has changed. But, we will, be, as Dirk stated, we'll be hearing the highway budget for next year here in a few minutes, and let us take a look at that budget, Mr. Kipley, and determine what, if anything, we're able to do, and we'll let you know if we decide.
I appreciate all of you taking the time to look at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know if it affects you, you would probably be sitting here too, you know. But being on the Ordway board, it's my responsibility to bring it to the commission to try to get done what was promised to us. Okay?
Absolutely.
And that's a good point, because being on the Ordway board, in the winter time, Ordway doesn't even clear the snow off going to the west ever.
That's because
Not maintained by
because it's Lincoln's Township there. It's not Ordway. So,
All right, thank you.
So-
Take care.
Anything else on that issue before we move on? All right, next up, Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, right-of-way application and a department update. Thanks for coming in, everyone.
Thank you. Hey Dirk, you're up.
Right away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you supposed to be here?
Yeah, that's your actual agenda item.
I think I lost mine.
This is why we talk to you so much, because we're trying to find you. You just had it.
Motion to adjourn.
Judge, I'll second that.
It's gonna be a short meeting if I can't find my notes.
Just make it up.
Well, that's what I usually do, but I wanted to try this time. There's a right-of-way occupancy for Webb Water. It's out at, Richmond on North Shore Drive. And, they're just going underneath, taking a service over to an open lot that they must gonna be developed on the north side there. Nothing too exciting, they're just going under the road.
Second. Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. For the discussion, hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Quick department update.
Yeah, it's gonna be short.
The budget today.
I don't know.
Did you leave it in the other room?
Oh, I'm working.
I was thinking probably.
That's why I can only have like one thing at a time on the agenda.
You need a bigger sheet. Call his phone, see if he knows about that.
No, it's right there, I just saw it. All right. So first thing, this is, department update.
I'm gonna let
The, first thing I'm gonna point out, in case anybody got asked, I know we had a bleeding problem out at Richmond yesterday, and we've been putting, sand on it. And some people freaked out, it's about the worst place for that to happen, but what happened was nothing super anomalous. It's just sometimes when you're doing that, it'll bleed, and so we had to hog a bunch of sand out there, and just a little bit of a setback. Hopefully it'll clean it up and we'll move on. Because of the location, it caused a little consternation. If the problem isn't straightened out by the 4th of July, the nuclear option is just go mill it up again and let it sit through the holiday, and then we'll start over, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So that's the first thing. Okay, so for stuff we got going right now, Holloway started working on the bridge down there in 21, doing the repair work, the one we got down to 1 lane right now. So that should hopefully be done in the next 2 weeks, I think. They got about 186 pieces to put back together on it, so that's something that got missed when they put it in the first time, and that led to a deflection in the bridge. But between the supplier and the contractor and the engineers, I think we got a solution put back together for that. And in a weird thing that looks like I planned it, about the time that's done, we should have 21 ready to start paving it. So hopefully after the 4th of July weekend, we'll be down there and we'll actually start the paving program, which is probably a month later than we normally go, but we got a little more time to pave, as I've said before, into later in the year. So we'll start there, and I'm gonna use this map to talk right now, so you guys don't have to move, just don't be weirded out when I'm standing over there. So Holloway's working on 21 on that bridge. We're gonna start paving down there, and the microsurfacing started yesterday, and they got it all the way out here and turned around. I'm having them do this side first, so then we can continue working on our grade race up there at Frederick. But right now, west of there, they've got the scratch course down, so they basically got the first lift of that down, and that should be done in a couple of weeks with the micro. Then that goes all the way over, a little bit short of 400 over there, about 6 miles west of Hecla.
What a stretch.
Yeah, that's a great project and great product. I really like that.
Yep.
So far. We'll see what happens, I'll probably be gone, sipping pina coladas, hanging out with Doug by the time we ever find out if that stuff fails. So, but I really like it, and so far I think the value's in it. The gates are currently closed, by the way, and they have been since June 6th, which is a little wiggly this time of year, but the gym is at 70 and the Crow's at 88, so the gym's a foot and a half higher than the Crow right now. If we open the gates up, that's how we could get North Dakota. Let's open the gates up and send the gym back up to them. But so that's actually closed right now, and we'll leave them until it gets to where the water's going to be flowing the other way. So that's like what we're currently, like next 2 weeks, currently actively doing. In addition to that, we're working on 21 still, and then we got a patch crew running, and we're mowing and blading still, so just kind of regular stuff right now, but we're starting to get things cranked up a little bit. I want to hop over to this map now, and my point in what I'm going to, this next 12 seconds of conversation, this is a change from the 5-year plan, okay? And it's just, I wish I'd have got in here sooner, but and it was good because doing this at the same time I was working on the 25 budget, it all kind of ties together. So in general, if you look at that map, the changes that we got in the upper right-hand corner, anything with a square around it up there, which is mostly stuff for the next 2 years, 25 and 26, along with a couple things we were going to do this year, okay? Purely because of geography. They're all in that neck of the woods. I wanted to bundle them all together, and we're going to bid a project next year. And I'll talk about that in the budget thing. But my point in pointing this out is this stuff that, some folks are expecting, and I hope I'm not getting in your way, some folks are expecting that, they're going to have this done this year, and it's getting kicked back another year. Some of this other stuff is actually getting moved forward a year. But there should be an opportunity to get some good pricing, or at least some competitive pricing on it if we package them up like that. The rest of these circles is what we're going to try to get done the rest of this year, with the exception, don't look at this one yet, these little ones up here, there's Road 21, we'll do that first, and we got the 2 miles on 13, the rest of it's pretty good, but we have 2 miles in there, that's rugged. Almost the same story on 11. We are gonna pave the 2 miles. And then...
Is that between 14 and 16?
Yeah, there's, I don't know if it's exactly 2 miles, there's a couple pieces in there. So, but basically, the part in here that hasn't been paved in the last 10 years and the part up here that hasn't been paved in the last 10 years will be the 2 things that get paved. Something's gonna happen out on 9. We've got that, parts of it are really good still from the detour project, and then in between it, we got all these things that look like we're in the Middle East. So, it's, I haven't got it hammered out. It's a total of about 3.5 miles if we do the whole thing. And then we're gonna start at 19 out there on 12W, which is on the west side of the West Industrial Park, or whatever you wanna call it. And we're gonna go as far west as we can. By next week, I should know how far west that is. Hopefully, we'll get all the way there. I know that's important.
So what are you doing?
Paving it.
Okay, just an overlay over the top of what you got?
Yeah, it'll depend. There might be a couple spots in there. If there's something we gotta mill up, we might have to kick it into next year, but we'll do the rest of it.
Okay.
But yeah, overlay it.
So part of the shift is both road conditions, resources, and then mobilization, prepping this stuff, because you're pushing this up 25, hoping the spring is like this spring, and that chunk of the county isn't underwater.
Correct.
And if you bid that out, then you're gonna have somebody that's gonna put a processing plant in the neighborhood that's gonna be...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so...
Right? Am I right?
No, you're correct, and I'll even take it a step further, and I have not looked out this far. If I'd have had a scenario over the years where we could package up, you know, if you could get all these roads to go to hell at the same time, and then get all these to go bad the next year, you know what I mean? But if you can ever get them packaged up like that, then they gotta be kinda close together. It's not gonna work if you got one here, you know what I mean?
Make it
But-
worthwhile for a successful bidder to put a
Right.
plant in.
Right, and we have local guys that it's close enough that they can bid on it, and it should be enough so someone from somewhere else, it's a big enough project to bring a mobile plant in. That's sort of what I'm hoping for. But this stuff is getting moved up, and some of this stuff is getting moved around as well, so. Okay, so this is, like I said, forget about this, and I'll cover this more, but then this is gonna get kicked back to 2025. And my current budget has this whole thing, well, I shouldn't even say that, well, we'll talk about it later, but I think this might already be gone out of next year's. I think I already cut it out. And if there's further cuts, then this will go too, because we're gonna do this. We might not have the opportunity to have that much stuff that close together with the plant nearby. So this will be the last thing that we compromise, for lack of a better word. And I'm hoping we can do this. So anyway, but my point in all that rambling was just to say, it would've been quicker, huh? You could've done it in 2 sentences. This is this year, this is next year.
Well, you promised us 12 seconds, and I think you can do that, so.
There's no time on the agenda, see, it doesn't even say anything on here, there's no time.
You brought it up.
Yeah, we eliminated that a few years ago because of you.
Yeah, I know. I think that's my department update, if that kinda lays that out. Like I said, we can go into some more sausage making when we get to the budget part, but...
Well, we need to be thankful that we're not dealing with what Lincoln and Union counties are dealing with, because we could have a large section that all, like you say, went to hell at the same time.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you'd be a fool to just completely think that there's no chance in all of creation that next year, that whole neck of the woods, I mean, it's happened before, and I don't even like sitting here and talking like that. But I think we'll just enjoy what we got right now, and we'll get as much done as we can, and go from there.
That's all we're gonna ask. All right?
Any
Anything
questions?
else? Not from me. Anybody else? Thank you.
All right. I'll wait patiently for my next exciting meeting.
Don't lose anything.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right, moving on to the consent calendar.
Approval of the journal meeting minutes of June 18th.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Dennert, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims?
Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Feldheim. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report?
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Approve the Brown County Fair promo list?
Move. Motion by
Second.
Dennert, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Somebody the other day said we were real stingy with tickets. Haven't seen a list.
Zoning ordinance, set hearing date and authorize advertising.
Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Dennert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Do you want to do the five individually or do them all together?
Let's do them individually.
Okay. The Bevin Web Edition plat?
We're gonna do them individually.
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Marvin and Gwyneth Hampton First Edition plat?
Move. Motion by Feldheim, second by Dennert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Howling Woods subdivision plat?
Discussion.
I think if we get a motion and a second, then we can open it up for discussion.
Okay. Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. Discussion on this plat, this is the one we heard the concerns earlier. Commissioner Gage, you're on the Planning and Zoning Board, you wanna give us a brief history of how we got to where we are?
Well, this is about, I think, last Tuesday, I want to say is the third month that that's been in, the planning and zoning meetings down there. I cannot remember what the first month is. Second month is the preliminary plat, and then this last month would be the final plat and the variance to one,
May was
frontage.
prelim.
Freeland, okay, so there was 3 different times in there, and I guess I was not here during the 20, I think it's 2018, I know you two were on the not convention, but the event center, there you go, sorry, thank you, on the event center, so I guess I don't know the reasoning and everything behind that. I mean, I don't know if that was a rezone or if that was a conditional use permit. If it was a conditional use permit, there's a lot more that goes into it other than that. For this, and was discussed by the board, I mean, this is already it's a zoned use for the property, so right next to other subdivisions in the area. So I know the general feeling down there was, I mean, it's a good design. It wasn't a problem that way, so the general feeling down there, and obviously by voting for it 3 times, the one thing I would have liked to seen, I guess, if there was opposition to this, like it would have happened to begin with, because right now we're at the end of the game, pretty much. I mean, for opposition on this at that point, and even so, it's going to be hard to deny this because all they're doing is something that the property is already zoned for. So I guess I know it was a feeling of the board down there through the unanimous votes of 3 months in a row that it is a good fit for the area. And as far as any of the public, besides Mrs. Hedges, nobody else has reached out on it, I guess, as far as a problem to the area. So that was just kind of what we had got downstairs on that.
Looking back at the decision that was made regarding the proposed event center in that area, I think in thinking back, the city was ready to and in a position to approve it. And the county, the problem that we as a county commission at that time had was the way it was noticed to the people. I mean, if you look at a quarter of land, the event center was gonna be down in this corner, and the posting was done up here on a fence post on the northwest corner of that section, or that quarter, so it was literally unbeknownst to the people in the Drew area, the Aspire area, and the neighbors down in this area. So it was the way the city went about noticing it was probably our biggest opposition and the reason that we voted against it. And as a result of primarily that action, it wasn't very long after, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, that the city relinquished their jurisdiction over the 3-mile area outside city limits. And things have gone actually very smoothly since that time, because now everybody knows that they have to abide by county ordinances and not have to do the joint agreement the way we used to always have to do it before. We'd meet on any issue in that 3-mile jurisdiction. We and the city would have to jointly give approval to any projects taking place. And so I don't think we set a precedent at that point by denying the event center. There was a lot of opposition to the potential noise. You're absolutely right, the potential traffic, and those were the concerns from the neighbors in the community at that time. But in my opinion, there's a big difference between a housing development and an event center in what the potential ramifications could be. Doug, anything else you'd like to add versus?
No, I think there's just a lot of confusion when that whole thing was taking place, when they didn't actually post the correct address where the event center was. And it went on like it was gonna go through, and then all of a sudden, somebody realized that's where it was at, and then we had the uproar about where it was gonna be. And then the other thing is, that was also a change in, it was going to go to commercial zoning. Well, and that was the other thing that we had a problem with the city, the way they did that. If you're gonna have an event center, how can it be mini ag, is it not commercial? So there was a lot of things going on in that whole thing between the city and the county at that time. You got caught in the middle of it.
Yes, we did.
We also probably did in a sense, because we didn't realize until way too late what was going on because of the way it was posted. So, you know, there was a lot of things going on in that whole thing. I guess, you know, that's all I would have to say about it is, I have a hard time when you have a house developed and if somebody wants to have more houses, the house developed. It's a little different in my eyes, you know. Now, whether you were treated fairly or not, you know, that's another thing when you're gonna go down the road, is when you had two different entities involved at the same time.
But I think, so going forward, then, we would have the opportunity to develop that property.
Yeah, I guess, you know,
Make application.
the application is all you'd have to do at this point, because the city no longer has any say on that part of it, strictly all county, after they gave up their rights to that outside border.
Right, so, you know, all these things that, again, you're right, we were guided by the city, where to post that, the property address is that whole plat of land, so they said place it on there, and we did. So we weren't trying to be deceptive
No.
during that time. But, so going forward, this opens the opportunity for us to do development on that property, correct?
It would need to be zoned appropriately.
Correct.
Right,
And go through that
right.
process.
Jump through the proper hoops, absolutely.
Remind me, how many years ago was this?
It was 2018.
Okay, so it had been shortly before the city dropped their 3 mile.
Yeah, it was right during that.
Yeah,
Had a
yep,
leg
yep.
to that,
1
yeah.
year, it'd be 1 year, because
Oh, that was part of why they,
July 19th
That
of
was the
2019,
trigger.
July 16th of 2019 is when they
Yep,
relinquished their rights.
okay.
yep.
Because that 1 mile city limits is 385th, so we're
Okay.
outside of that.
Yep.
you know. So, yeah, it was quite the process. But, you know, I guess, again, we're not opposed to development, but those same things are applied to our property then going forward. Because in the past, you know, again, there was opposition to dust, noise, and this and that. Well, that's gonna be there now. You know, all these things. And traffic daily. At Center, there was gonna be a barn, you know, a couple days on the weekend. It wasn't a daily thing, you know, and it wasn't a huge crowd that could accommodate. But, so I'm just comparing apples to apples here, going forward, that we would have that potential then, and opportunity to look at that project again,
Sure.
and so the neighbors know that.
Any further discussion?
I would like to note that 32 acres or whatever it is, 40, there's Fisher Fireworks that leases that annually up in the northwest corner of that land, off of Highway 281, and that's where it approaches at. And that quarter of land is addressed at that approach for Fisher Fireworks address. So they use that address to publish that project. They weren't trying to be deceptive, it's just the way it worked out, because in the opposite corner, that's when they realized there was something going on.
Right.
So it was, they should've, would've, could've, but they should've put approximate, project location of, and used a different address.
You got several pieces that have to fall in place if you're gonna do something like that. You're probably gonna wanna replat it, because then you're gonna have to rezone it and go through that process, depending on if it's gonna be a different class.
I think they were gonna replat it, weren't you?
We're doing something like that,
Yeah.
so,
We've done all the, yes, we have all of that.
yeah, so.
I was gone on knee surgery at that time, and it really seemed like a lot of discussion and everything over that.
There was. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this plat. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right.
Claim assignment.
Move. Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business come before the Brown County Commission this morning?
I would just like to share that we did our post-election audit last night, and everything went good. We were done in about an hour, and we matched 100%. So,
Good.
got results here if anybody wants to look at them, but
Good, thank you.
Thanks to the citizens who participated in the process.
Shows that the system does work.
yes.
You bet. All right, we've had a request to go into executive session for personnel, probably contracts and legal. Anything legal?
I can do a quick update.
Okay.
Move.
Motion by Weiss.
Second.
Second by Denner. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in exec. All right, light is back on. We are out of exec.
Meeting.
Back in regular session with no action as a result. Go ahead and pay that.
Okay.
Take it out of commissioner or wherever you want to take it out of. Yeah, and all I'm gonna do with this, was just gonna ask Judy why work is always being done on a Sunday, because it's dated a Sunday. And he didn't charge us overtime for time and a half, but why he's coming in and doing rerouting of water lines on a Sunday is beyond me. I mean, he did credit us, so he didn't charge us time and a half. That's my question for Judy. All right, anything else to come before the commission this morning?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.